Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Now this one's completely different. It's week 13 in iRacing, there's not much going on. So I thought I would do a bit of a tips, tricks, do's, don'ts for those of you that either stream or want to start creating your own content. Now of course this is all very subjective, so what I like you might not like, vice versa. But these are some of the things that get on my bracket. So I don't know how many things we're going to talk about. I haven't recorded the video yet, but we're going to talk about things such as webcams, audio, overlays, and a couple of other bits and pieces. So let's get on with it. Right, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is webcams, or in this case, lack of. I don't have one on screen now. Unfortunately for you guys, you know what I look like, but if you are a content creator or a streamer, there's only a few people that can get away without having a webcam. The likes of Empty Box. He doesn't have a webcam. I've no idea what Matt looks like, but he gets away with it. But for the most part, I think a webcam is essential for that engagement between you and your audience. So we'll put the webcam on now. And as you can see, I'm not even driving. So I could upload anything. I could upload any race and do a voiceover and pretend that I'm driving. So I think there's a lot to be said for the viewer actually watching me, or anybody for that matter, struggling with the wheel, driving. I think without a webcam, you miss an opportunity to engage with your viewers. So that's tip number one, put on a webcam. So tip number two for me is the size of the webcam. Now, you can see the webcam that I've got on there now. It's probably a bit bigger than I would usually have it. I would probably have it around about that big. I like to try and line up the top of the webcam with the top of the dash. Now, people don't want to see this. Blocks out too much of the screen, and also people don't want to see tiny little Dave in the bottom corner. That's no good to anybody. So you need to try and make sure that your webcam is an appropriate size for your stream, and you've got to think about what else you're going to have on screen as well. So as a rule of thumb, I like to try and line mine up with the top of the dashboard there. So that's tip number two, webcam size. Now tip number three, I'm going to talk about what's behind. So I've got a couple of lights on here. I've got a bit of a fill light, just a cheap LED light. It just makes the background, or makes me stand out from the background. So behind me you can't really see anything. You can see the other rig there. But what you don't want is, you don't want a pile of washing that's been there for 2 weeks. You don't want some empty takeaway containers. You don't want a dog dragging its backside along the carpet. You don't want an open door to your mother's bedroom. Do you know what I'm saying? So think about what's behind you. That's tip number three. So whilst we're on about webcams, placement of the webcam is really important. So now I've got my webcam in the bottom left, so I can move that anywhere I want it. I can put it down here, no problem. But I don't like facing out of the screen. I don't know if that's some kind of weird OCD thing going on there, but I'm sitting there now looking out of the screen, so I always like to have my seat positioned towards the action. I don't know why. And on ACC especially, the webcam can't go here because the UI isn't, you can't manipulate the UI in ACC. So I have my webcam up there somewhere. I'll show you that in a second. But you've got to think about where your webcam is in relation to what else you've got on screen. So that's tip number four. So this is me in ACC. As you can see, the webcam is a lot higher than it normally is in iRacing. Above me you've got the lap times, which I'm not obscuring, and below you've got the relative and the pit boxes and all that kind of stuff, which won't be obscured either. So the viewer will get everything, and I'm kind of tucked up where I can on the A-pillar, just so I don't block as much of the screen as I need to really. The webcam is a little bit smaller, just to try and fit me on the A-pillar as best as I can. Here's another one for you, a floating head. I've seen this before. For me, if I'm watching somebody, I want to see their rig, I want to see the surroundings, I want to see the wheel. I could be doing anything with my hands now and you wouldn't know. Thankfully I'm not. But that's another no-no for me. It's just a floating head. Okay, here's another one for you. What's going on here? Top of my head cut off. It's not hard to move the webcam a little bit to make sure that I'm in frame. Now, when I set up my webcam, it's set up, you wouldn't think so, but it's actually set up for a reason the way it is. So you can see my wheel, you can see my seat, you can see where I'm sitting, you can see the side screen. It's the best I can do with the setup that I've got, but it is positioned so you can see as much of me, as much of me as you possibly can from this angle. Might not be a good thing, I know, but just think about where the webcam is placed and what the viewers might want to see other than what they're seeing on screen in relation to the race. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the audio. Now, as you can hear now, my voice is above the sound of the engine. I'm not being drowned out. You can hear what I'm saying quite clearly. Now, if the engine volume was bumped up and the mic volume was bumped down, the same can be said for having the mic volume way higher than the engine, and people can just about hear the engine, or I've seen streams where you can't even hear the engine at all. People want to hear the engines of the cars that you're driving, so you need to do a couple of test recordings before you stream or before you actually record a race, just to make sure that you've got the balance completely right. Now, another thing I'm not a fan of is the heavy breathing down the microphone. I could maybe put the microphone close. Nobody wants to hear my mouth noises and heavy breathing, so bear that in mind. Try and get rid of the... I'm as guilty as anybody. When I edit a video, I watch it back and I hear the breathing and all the noises and I think, damn, that sounds awful. So just bear that in mind as well. Another thing that drives me absolutely insane is the magnetic shifters on your wheel. The Fanatec ones are actually quite good. They're quite quiet. You probably can't hear them at all because they've got some kind of rubber dampening, but some wheels, like the iRacing wheels, all you can hear is click, 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 click. It drives me absolutely insane. So that's another thing. It's that can be hard to get rid of depending on the microphone you've got, but you can use filters on OBS such as VST plugins. They're brilliant. They're free. Download them and you can set up compressors, a noise gate, equalizer, stuff like that on your mic. So just a little bit of work can make it sound so much better. So that's another bugbear of mine. Loud, breathy, slurpy noises and clicky paddles. So one other thing to consider when you're starting out creating content, whether that be on Twitch or on YouTube, is figuring out what kind of content creator you're going to be. Whether you're going to be an educational channel, whether you're going to be an alien, whether you're super fast, whether you're funny, or whether you just want to make some beautiful content for people to watch. They're the four types of sim racing content creators that I can see. There's also like the news type that tell you about the latest news, podcasts and all that kind of thing. You've got to find out or figure out what you're good at. Now, I don't think I'm particularly fast, I don't think I'm particularly funny. I do like to help people. That's kind of what this channel was based on, with the learn the track stuff and small how-tos, and that's, I will continue to do that. So you've got to figure out who you're going to be. Now, it's very important on the back of that to be who you are. Don't try and be somebody else, because you can only keep that up for so long, and eventually somebody's going to find out who you are. The mask is going to slip, and if it doesn't, you're going to have to keep up that facade forever, and you will drive yourself absolutely insane. Now, this is who I am. Like it or lump it, this is what you've got, and I would rather people watch me for this than for me trying to be somebody else like this. Right, here we are then, coming up to the green flag. Man, I'm so pumped. I can't believe it. Right, we're going to restart. Come on, come on, come on. Let's go. Pace car's in. Can we get past this number one car? No, we can't, because we haven't even started, but we're going now. No, we're not. What a restart. What a restart. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, God, how fast we're going. I've no idea. There's a car on my right. Oh my god, they're flying. Come on, come on, we'll get them, we'll get them. Ah, yeah, come on. It's not me. I can't do that. So you might have guessed the next thing we're going to talk about is overlays. Now, as you can see on screen, it's cluttered. Now, we've got loads and loads of information on there, and in an ideal world, all this information would be accessible for the viewer. But for me, it's too much. You can see bottom right, we've got the relative. Above that, fuel calculator. Above me, we've got a flat map. We've got a battle box, we've got a boost box, we've got the standings at the top. In the middle at the top, we've got the advanced panel with some more information. We've got telemetry. Not to mention, if you're streaming, you're going to have a chat window on there. You're potentially going to have alerts, betting. The screen is far too cluttered. So for me, less is definitely more. I don't want anything to detract from what's going on the screen, and that is the race. Now, you'll see I don't have fuel calculators on my screen when I do races where I need to pit stop. But you will notice, or you might have noticed, or may not have noticed, that I make reference to that verbally as I'm racing. So I'll be saying something like, fuel calculator saying I need 18 litres. Am I going to have enough? I'm going to put 20 in. And that continues as the race goes on. So that then saves me from having to put that on my screen. So this is what I have on my screen only. So this is it. I have the standings up there. I have the relatives in the bottom right, and I have the telemetry. In a race, I will have a virtual mirror in the centre of the screen at the top. And I also like to put a TV cam, more often than not, in the top right hand corner. That's it. I don't want any more than that. If I stream, I will have some alerts on and a chat box. But generally, as far as overlays goes, you won't have more than this on my stream. So just bear that in mind, and bear in mind what they cover. So some people have them right across the bottom of the screen where it covers the dashboard, the rev counter, all things that me, as a car fan and viewer, that's what I want to see. Good timing. They've wrecked. So there we go. That's a few tips, tricks, do's, don'ts, whatever you want to call them. It is subjective, and I am no expert by any stretch of the imagination. There are people out there who are far better than I am at this kind of stuff, but these are just my observations and what I think looks good and what doesn't look good. You might disagree, and that's completely fine. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments if you wouldn't mind as well. That'd be great. One other thing that I would like to mention is manage your own expectations. If sim racing content is your thing, if that's what you want to do, bear in mind that it's quite niche. I've got almost 38,000 subscribers now, and in YouTube terms, that's not a lot, but in sim racing YouTube terms, it's quite a lot because it is quite niche. But it doesn't happen overnight. You've got to stick with it. You've got to be prepared to upload the videos with not many views, stream in front of not many people, but you've got to be the same person when you get a lot of subscribers as you are when you didn't have many. That's so important. So anyway, I'll wrap it up there. Let me know if you like this kind of thing. I'll try and do some other bits and pieces like this. I was at a loose end. I had an hour or two spare, so there you go. There's my tips, tricks, do's and don'ts. As always, thanks for watching. See you later. Cheers.